Hello, DEFCON Red Team Village. Welcome to my training, Offensive Embedded Exploitation, getting your hands dirty with IoT and embedded device. So, those who have attended my brief here on day 0 might be related to this talk till Recon, and from Recon we are deep dive into every subject. Those who have not attended my brief, it's fine. This is the more deeper version of my brief. Here we are going to this training is from zero to hero. Those who are bit familiar with web application testing or network pen testing, those who can easily grasp how they can jump from network pen testing to IoT or embedded device pen testing. Okay, so let's get started with the training. So the agenda will remain same as a brief. So agenda for this talk is, first we will have introduction, then preparing arsenal, that is setting up a machine, then reconnaissance, showtime, getting hands dirty, and fuzzing, reverse engineering, and exploit development. So this talk is split in a three major sections. First, introduction and setting your machine, getting up. Okay, this will be similar to the brief uh, up to certain level. Then we will move towards recognition of device. How means what are the data we should gather while doing a recon, and then we will have a firmware analysis. So in this section, we are going to cover more deeper version of what we cover in a brief. So we will have what to look inside the firmware upon obtaining firmware. This section is quite drilled down. In getting hands dirty, this will be similar to the brief, and here we are going to conduct a dynamic testing on the device which we have targeted here. And fuzzing, reverse engineering, and exploit development. This section is quite heavy. You may need one additional espresso for this, as here we are going to set up everything from scratch to development exploit. Okay, so this is split into total three sections. So let's get started with the introduction. Let me introduce myself. I am a Kaustubh Padwad from India, also known as Security Based on Twitter. I have a dozens of exploit listed, which are most of the related to devices and some WordPress and some other stuff. And also, I'm a SYNAC Red Team member. I worked with SYNAC on their cutting edge technologies, and also I'm a speaker. I like to share my knowledge. So now let me introduce IoT in more deeper manner. I have classified IoT in three sections here. Section 1 consists of IoTs which is using at a large scale at industries, like multiple industries, manufacturing industries, government, and a cellular industry, that is internet provider, ISPs, then smart digital citizens, then smart health, agricultural industry, smart building, and uh, smart grid, obviously, and lastly a transportation industry. So let's get into one by one with this. So first get into a transportation industry. So first transport is like vehicle transport. We have a brilliant example of how Tesla is developing their vehicle IoT car, like autopilot, which we used to see in movie. Now it's in real life. So transportation industry is like remotely own the car. Last time I remember Charlie Miller have presented their research on hacking Jeep. So what happened here is, like in automotive IoT, the car is get connected to internet and get controls via internet. So this itself is a very big topic. Like car hacking villages are there in our DEFCON only, but this is also a part of IoT that is called automotive IoT. So where they put some kind of embedded chips with some specific command which are totally closed source. Like you have to spend hours and hours and hours to reverse engineer those binary and identify those command which can accept which will get accepted in a car. So in car world, okay, so we have seen that Charlie Miller's video of hacking car. So like transport industry is using heavily uh, IoT products. Now, smart building. In the next slide, I have an excellent example of how smart building can be implemented as an IoT product. Agricultural industry. One of my friend himself have developed one technology stack with one Raspberry Pi only, that automating um, water supply to his plants, which is at his home and which is at his farmhouse. So what happened is, like, he took one sensor which sensed the soil, second sensor who sensed the temperature, third sensor who sensed the wind, uh, surrounding wind, and this all data is sent to the uh, his Raspberry Pi. And once Raspberry Pi finds eligible that soil is dry and temperature is high and plants need a water, it triggers a switch to turn on the water supply to his farm. So isn't it an excellent example of agriculture or smart agriculture or smart farming? Health is a critical aspect. We are going to cover it here also. But what different here is, like, in industry is like they are going to in some companies are developing smart ambulance. We might be thinking what the smart ambulance is. Like, once the patient is inside the ambulance, this some sensors will get connected to his body, and the required data by doctor will be get triggered from those sensors, like a blood pressure, hemoglobin level, and blood level inside, means inside the blood level, then his temperature, then his heartbeat. This all data will send immediately to the doctor, so that patient don't need to wait till he arrives in a hospital, and doctor can start diagnose remotely. So doctor will start diagnosis immediately, so that if there is a critical case where urgent treatment is needed, all you need is that IoT ambulance. Once the ambulance reaches there, it gets connected to human body, and every data that requires by doctor will received by a doctor, and according to that, doctor can start immediate treatment. So health industry is medical IoT is getting too much serious in nowadays. And digital citizen, as we are digital, like everything we have digital nowadays. We I hardly remember that we are carrying old style wallets or old style watch. Nothing, like everything is smart, everything is fit in the pocket. Like we have smart fitness trackers, smart wears, then smart bands, everything we have. The mobility Wi-Fi becomes the very big aspect in when it comes to IoT, because these services are provided by ISPs. In mobility, there are two types of IoT bands are there. One is narrow band and second is LTE-M band. When you have a need to send just bit like O or C, like open or close kind of stuff, then you need where you don't need too much data to be sent to over the internet. You can use those small devices which will send data to the user. So which will send data to the platform, and those data will transport over NIDD protocol, narrowband data, most of the time. So that falls under SS7 security. And smart government. I have an other example in next slide regarding smart government and smart manufacturing industry. So manufacturing industries needs to take care of multiple aspects that divide. If it is manufacturing some device, then that device should not be break. The proper QA testing should be done of that device, and to improve the efficiency and product quality, these guys are nowadays manufacturing using smart technologies. In when manufacturing industry manufactures something, obviously they have to do some logistic, right? So for that logistic also IoT devices are in use. So like one fine example here is like any product which is getting melt, for example ice cream, that if you open the ice cream ice cream carrying truck, it will start melting, right? When it comes to room temperature, it start melting. Or let's say if there is a fuel carrying vehicle like oil or something, if that truck gets open, or someone may tamper with that truck, that could be a big issue, right, for everyone. So to avoid that, there are some devices which will immediate small devices, very small devices, which will trigger a data using MQTT protocol, and it sends to the IoT platform that this truck was this door of this truck was open at this time, and that sends to the IoT platform, and IoT platform will generate an SMS alert and send it to the respective owner of that your vehicle has been tampered, or at that moment he can immediately call and get to know that why you opened